Alright folks, welcome to this exciting adventure. You once again join me here on a Scottish hilltop, and hopefully in this episode I don't end up in a bog. But today we've come to look at this historical wonder, which is it's an abandoned curling pond, and the estate here we're on today is Balnamoon estate. I think now this ground here is probably just used for sheep and stuff like that. Maybe the gamekeeper uses this little hut and stuff now. But I can actually see that there's water in the curling pond today, so it's cool to come and have a look. And once again we're documenting a piece of history with this, because at one time in the winter when this was all frozen, probably back in the 1900s, late 1800s, there's a deer at the far side and a buzzard in the tree. But yeah, late 1800s, early 1900s, they would have been here in the winter curling at this cool little pond. Wow, it's beautiful. What a scene here. That's just a stunning picture looking up that way. The way the sun's shining through and like reflecting off the water. Wow, I'm not sure how firm the ground is down here. I'm going for it though folks, we'll try and walk on it and see. It looks like the easiest route around here. It also looks like the water's been a bit higher recently. The character of this old wooden building, it's almost spooky. It looks like something from a horror film. This whole bit of land here would have been dug out. And I think in front of this little cabin here there's like steps down onto the ice. Well, what would have been the ice. Oh, the grass here is quite long, but in the summer it's just about unpassable here because it's so overgrown. Look at this old tree here. Wow, what a cool little spot here. I think at one time, because it was so cold obviously when they were up here curling and that, they would have had a little log burning stove in there. It's probably still in there judging by the little chimney, but they would have probably huddled in there, warmed themselves up, and then they would have come out here and had a round of curling on the ice. It would have been pretty cool. And then probably at the end of the day they would have got on their horse and carriage back down to the manor house. It's incredible to come to a spot like this and imagine the old history like that. And look, here's where the original little steps went down onto the ice. I remember there was one time I came here like a few years ago and there was frogs. So this is quite a good like habitat for wildlife up here on the hill. It's pretty cool, like. Oh, what's in there, folks? It's like some vintage piece of apparatus in there. We don't bother going inside buildings like that. It's closed, folks, on this channel because again, that's somebody's private building. Obviously in this case I think it's Balnamoon estate. But I just like to come and imagine the history and check on the condition of the building and see how it is. And it's incredible, like, to think that this was all dug out. You can still see the piles of earth around the outside here. But normally, like, ground up here on hills, there's so many stones throughout it, it'd be a nightmare to dig it. Maybe this area though was already a bit of a natural bog. Anyway, this building's got so much character. I better take a picture of it from this angle here. So just as I was getting those couple of photos there, I was just thinking, maybe at one time they could have been doing like duck shooting out of this as well. If you can imagine, the ducks would be coming into land here. They could easily have just been standing in there, maybe shooting them. I'm not sure about that though, folks. I know for sure that it was a curling pond though, as far as the local history that I've been taught. But like I say, it's so cool to come and see that it's still standing here on the hilltop, because it is wild conditions up here most of the year. Tonight it's sunny, but it was just random. I was driving along nearby this and I just thought, I'll come and have a wee look at it. It's always worth a little adventure, folks. Oh, a fly just went in my eye. What? That's the worst thing sometimes. Like when you're out exploring. Look at this, I was going to try and come around the loch this way. Well, it's not a loch. The curling pond. We're doing a full circuit of the curling pond, folks. Real adventures. I'm pretty sure last time I came around here, I was able to walk straight across. It was just like soft mud. But it's obviously, it depends on the time of year. Whoa. This is crazy, folks. I'm literally just climbing through the long grass. This is probably something I'm going to regret. I should have just gone back the easy route. This little like pond here, it's just got so much character. Like the colour of the building with the green grass around it, it's just something else. So I think back when like places like this were in their prime, in the 1800s and the early 1900s, like the winters were so much colder, which is quite incredible to think about. Like now it hardly freezes. There'll probably be a couple of weeks of the year it freezes, but nothing like back then. Look at it here. Look at the size of this tree. This is all bog grass around me here, folks. Probably if you put a foot wrong here, you would fall way down there. There's some big holes between the mounds of grass. Stunning. I'm so glad I came for a walk round here, because it's been totally worth it. And it's always a bit of an adventure. I've probably come the wrong way by coming around this side of the loch though, for sure, because it's like crazy long grass. Luckily today it's totally dry. Whoa! It's light in the evening as well, folks, so it's amazing. Right now it's Friday evening. I think it's like 7 o'clock or something like that. And look at it, the sun's still in the sky. It's cool to go on more adventures like this now the weather's better. And we're allowed to go further afield now as well. I think some of the COVID restrictions have been lifted a bit over this past week in Scotland. So it's all good, folks. Look at this, there's some proper sandstone there. Some proper little pieces of sandstone. It must have come from something at one time. It's probably been dumped here. Look at that, folks, we've done the full 360 walk around of this abandoned historical curling pond here on top of a wild Scottish hilltop. It's a haven for wildlife. Look at this, there's an ancient historical wonder in here. Some metal thing. But I'm not actually sure what it is. There's a strongbow tin inside it. Anyway, folks, that's been a cool walk about here. Oh, I'll make my way back through this bog grass. It's quite extreme because I think the wind and the rain has just been blowing it over, and obviously there's not a proper path to that anymore because it's pretty much disused, I think, apart from gamekeepers and stuff probably using it. There's no one, but like this hilltop location here is just stunning. That's just like Heather Hill there right to the top and onwards up there. And then over at this side on the hill we've got like the White Carterton and stuff like that, which is like, I think it's about 1200 years old. It's like an old settlement. It was featured on videos on my channel before, folks. That's the top of that hill up there. Anyway, that was cool to see another ancient historical wonder once again, folks. I'll end the video here. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one very soon.